Welcome to Global Expert Series. Very, very excited to be joined by Jeff Conway, who is an Emmy-nominated TV host. Jeff is a senior contributor at Forbes, and he's conducted incredible interviews with A-list stars, including Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Costner, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jason Momoa, and more. Jeff is known for his deep industry knowledge and unique interview style. What's really interesting is that he focuses a lot on the business aspects of Hollywood. So really, really excited to have you here today, Jeff, and to get to chat to you.
Thank you for having me, Julia. I appreciate it.
No pressure. This is like the best interviewer, and I'm having to
No,
interview
you're
you.
you're gonna ace it. I'm ready.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Could you tell us what inspired you to get into the career of media, entertainment, and journalism? And was there a specific moment that set you on this path?
I always was a huge fan of movies. Growing up, I would always be in these car road trips with my siblings and my parents, and I'd be quoting movie lines, annoying them hours on end constantly because I just loved movies so much. But I knew I didn't want to be an actor. I don't know how to memorize lines for the life of me to this day. It's just not for me. But I was like, I feel like I want to do something in entertainment. So I started just watching red carpet interviews at the Oscars, at the Emmys. And I remember as even like a kid, I would watch them and be like, these aren't bad interviews, but they just seem so robotic and transactional. It doesn't feel human interaction. I'm like, I feel like there is something in me. Like I didn't even know what it was, but there was something in me that felt like I knew how to craft questions that matter, that actually engage people, and just speak on a tone level that doesn't feel business. That feels like I just want to know you as a human. I understand you are a star, but I want to know the human. And oftentimes, because I do lead with that approach, they are so much more open and more candid and their guard goes down because they're like, wait, you're treating me like an everyday human. You're not asking for autograph mentality. And it's worked out for me and I'm grateful and it's genuine. That's why I have no regrets. Like everything in me, the way I am with my interviews, the way I'm on the outside of my interviews, it's all genuine. I love it. I'm grateful for the position and the work that I've done. But as you know, I'm sure in your work too, Julia, I've worked crazy hard to get to where I am. I haven't had doors open for me. I don't have a director father. I don't have a, lead actress mother. I've done this all by myself. Nobody in the industry is in my family or friends. So there's an extra pride when you're not a Nepo baby. If you're a Nepo baby, I respect it. It's great. Good for you. Congrats. But some of us didn't have that. So there's an extra pride when you've done it all on your own.
I was doing a little bit of research to prepare for this interview, and I was blown away by how much research you do in terms of the kind of the nuggets that you learn about the people that you're speaking with. How do you actually prepare for the interviews? How do you seem to talk the language of everybody you sit with so well?
I would do a lot of research, and obviously any journalist would do research, but I really dive deep. I look into old articles, old quotes. I watch a lot of YouTube old interviews if this person has been interviewed before, which most times they have. And I watch not only for what they've talked about, but just their mannerisms and their overall vibe and energy. So when you know if someone's really uppity naturally, then you know to go in very uppity as well. If you know they're a little bit more reserved actor, like a John C. Riley, like a Jim Carrey, when you think they're these uppity guys, but like they're just actors, and when real life they're pretty subdued and calm, then you go a lot more calmly and a lot more eloquently and slowly with them because it's weird when you don't match the level of your interviewee, I believe. Because if you're uppity and they're uppity, that's great. If you're calm and they're calm, you have a good quality conversation. But if you're one uppity and one very calm, it's going to turn not only the interview conversation between you two off, but anybody watching will be turned off, being like, wait, they're not meshing here. So over my 16 years of doing this out of college, I've learned to really, I almost say it's like psychology. You learn the behaviors of people and you adapt very fast because sometimes you don't have the interview opportunity beforehand to know how they are. So when you get them in the moment, you might come, and I've done it. I've been like, hey, how are you? And he's like, I'm fine. How are you? And then you adapt. You're like, well, it's great to speak with you. And so it's all about adapting, taking social cues.
That's such a big one, especially for business owners that are trying to really do some outreach. There's so many learnings that they can take from what you just said. It can be applied in so many different areas.
Absolutely.
Do you have any tips around just building authentic relationships, going from that first initial meeting and actually building on that?
From my side in journalism, I wish it was always after the interview's over, me and the celebrity keeps in touch, and sometimes it is. but oftentimes you have a publicist or you have an agent that's intersecting and being the person that gets us together. But even with them, it's keeping in business, it's keeping that consistency of a quality relationship, scratching their back, letting them scratch you, they scratch your back, you scratch theirs kind of thing. And also being respectful. If they say don't ask a question, then don't ask a question. A lot of people want to be that renegade journalist and get those quick TikTok likes. And you'll get it if you ask that question and go rogue, but you may now lose this business contact. And now next time Emma Stone has a movie, they're gonna be like, no, 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 we're good. We know what Jeff does. We don't want that. So you have to be careful. Your brand matters. Your brand needs to be consistent. It needs to be genuine. I feel like, and I think you'd agree, Julie, in 2024, people call bullshit. Pardon my French very easily. People can tell when people are being real and not real, and people don't have time with that. So showing that authenticity matters, and when you're putting on a little bit too much of a show, I understand you got to put on a little bit of a presentation, but when you put on a little bit too much of a show, it can show desperation.
Mm. You are actually someone that's created an incredibly strong personal brand. So not only as a TV host, but also as a writer and an industry expert. What are some of the strategies that have helped you over the years?
So I would say thinking outside the box. I think in any business, no matter if it's journalism or marketing or whatever you're doing, you have to think outside the box because a lot of people are trying to do the same job as you. So what's going to
Mm.
make you stand out? What's going to make you the person that they're going to want to interact with, that they're going to be like, wow, or even people follow your work. If you're having like a class that you're actually charging people for, they want to know that there's value to what you're actually doing and you have a street cred that, wow, he actually has been successful. That's why I will listen to him. You can't just be like, listen to me, I know what I'm doing, but I have nothing to show for it. You have to be able to show them that I've been around the block, it has been effective, and this is why you should listen to me if you'd like.
I want to shift gears a little bit into the business
Mhm.
aspect. You
Absolutely.
talk to some incredible people, some people that are the top of their game when it comes to entertainment, right? But a lot
Yep.
of these A-list stars, they have their own businesses and their own brands, which is
Mhm.
just even more so become more and more evident over the last few years, right? So I know that
Mhm.
you've recently worked a little bit with Cameron Diaz. She's got her brand, her wine brand, Aveline. I also
Yes.
just read your Jennifer Aniston interview, which was absolutely incredible, in which she talks about her skincare range. So I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit to see what kind of commonalities are you seeing in terms of how celebrities and A-list stars are leveraging their influence to build thriving businesses?
It's quite fascinating with a lot of them to see the businesses that they're making and the conversations that I've been able to have with these Hollywood entrepreneurs that are really entrepreneurs beyond Hollywood. Not actually have a business. Yes, they can use their fame for the notoriety and the followers and the potential customers, but they're just genuine, hardworking entrepreneurs. And my favorite thing when I speak with these celebrities is they tell me, I was with it from the ground up. I was doing the testings, I was doing this. They weren't just introduced by a company being like, hey, we'd love to put your name on this already finished piece and just say it's yours. Is that cool? We'll give you this big fat check. And those are my favorite conversations because I have unfortunately had conversations where I could tell that it unfortunately was that way. And
Mm.
yes, they're also an entrepreneur, and I do respect that, but there's a different level of investment. And I don't mean financially, within them wanting to be a part of this. You can tell when they have genuine desire to share this with customers because they think there is value here, and when they just know it's an opportunistic, strategic moment.
How do you typically see A-list stars talk about their businesses? Is there a way that some do it better than others when it comes to getting across what they're trying to sell? Is there any tips that we can learn from?
Absolutely. Even like Holly Berry, she's part of a probiotic company called Pendulum that she's been a part of. That she actually found themselves. She loved it. She needed it for her gut health, and now she's working with them. So it was a very organic assembling to get her a part of this. Um, and it's them knowing their stats, knowing the sales numbers. It's one thing to say like, I have a great product, I have a great product, but when they show the sales that they've received and the percentages that they've had increased in like product selling and such, and they can say it off the cuff, like off the top of their head, you know that they're actually like really paying attention and passionate and following the trajectory of their success or decline, and they'll be open to that too. It's nice when they're vulnerable about the setbacks. Like they've all talked about some of them that have been in 7 years into this business. COVID affected all of us. You know that, Julia. So these companies, they're like, sometimes these didn't work well, but for Aveline, Cameron Diaz is what you brought up. She started that in like mid 2020, which honestly turned out to be the random most perfect time for wine because when we were all stuck at home around the world, we were drinking because we were happy, we were drinking because we were sad. So liquor sales did not hurt during that time for a lot of. So it just shows though, like when they're very transparent about their highs and lows, not only is it quality for me as a media person to be able to write to something that shows real vulnerability and thriving, but it shows the public that, oh, wow, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a human. I have
Mm.
setbacks. I have highs and lows. I have, swings and wins and losses. So I think that's when you can show they're vulnerable, if it's unfortunately been there within your business, show it, but also pounce on the optimism and the positive things that have been happening and hopefully are continuing to happen and that people should keep an eye out for.
So I think what you're talking about is just being very authentic, right? Just having the
Mhm.
story and everything really just line up so you can talk naturally, so it actually makes sense in the consumer's mind too, right? I think those kinds of ventures seem to work much better. When it comes to businesses partnering with A-listers, is there anything that you've seen which can help guide that? I mean, these A-list stars, they get approached a million times a day, right? For different, like everybody
Yeah.
wants a piece.
Well, Julie, I would say for any business looking to maybe put a celebrity quote unquote endorsement within their product, go at it by showing what maybe they've done before that feels like it's in line why this product or this company would be right for them to be that next step. Showing your research about their life and their passions and their focus before this um, will definitely intrigue them more, knowing that you actually care. You didn't just see me in this rom-com as like you're great for it. It shows you follow these activism works. You follow these products before. You've maybe put out products like this before. Also, not giving them a spokesperson title. Nobody actually
Mm.
wants, I feel like in 2024, the word spokesperson. They want to be like a chief brand ambassador or, a chief brand officer. They want legit business titles, I believe, from what I've seen. So presenting them not only as the celebrity, be the face of my company, but here I actually want you to be on our executive board and help us make decisions together.
Yeah, almost like more skin in the game, right? I love what you say. That's so true. And actually, I never used to hear that a few years back, but now I am hearing that a lot more. Those brand titles where you are the influencer isn't just influencing and use the product. It is more integrated. There is so many influencers out there now. So the celebrity market and the entertainment market has changed so much over the years. From your perspective, what strategies do A-listers and kind of the people in your world use to remain in the public eye? Because, I mean, there is literally information coming from every angle.
When it comes to more of like the celebrities, I think it's just again tying themselves to brands that are actually in line with them because if it doesn't fit their brand in Hollywood, like it can be a probiotic pill company for my gut health, but you have to talk about that in your natural life, being like, I've had pain. When I was on the set of X-Men, Halle Berry can say, I was really struggling with my stomach digestion issues. Having those natural organic conversations, even on your Instagram posts beyond that company, makes sense because then when you post just talking as a human in one post, and then weeks later, now you're bringing up Pendulum as his probiotic then it seems organic. If you're just out there talking about Deadpool, 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 and then Ryan Reynolds is randomly being like, here, Mint Mobile, he does that, but it can be kind of like, well, are you human? Or are you just such a big business person now? Which I respect, but also it can make the human feel less human about your humanness, if that all makes sense.
I work a lot on personal brand, and that's actually something that I talked a lot about my clients too. So you don't just want to talk business, you want to share your personality, you want to open up your world and really just make sure that you're being authentic, that you are sharing kind of the background, not just what you're trying to sell. So that's really interesting. You're pretty much saying the exact same thing. That's how celebrities stay relevant too. So personal branding and the celebrity aspect are completely hand in hand there. I wanted to ask you, what would you say are the top lessons that you've worked with working with some of these incredible high profile individuals? Because you literally have sat in the room across from some incredible big names.
Oh yeah, I think in any business, Julia, we live, we learn, and hopefully it's not too brutal. That's always I say. So when it comes to like celebrities, like the people like Jennifer Aniston, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, I've Blake Lively. I've gotten the fortune to interview all of them. And I'm always very careful if I want to ask a personal question, because usually I am speaking to them for Forbes about like more business, which is the reason why they wanted to come to me in the first place, knowing that I wasn't with respect a TMZ or an Us Weekly or whatever that may be. Um, if I have a personal question, I usually put it a little later in my list of questions because you want to gain their trust first and make them feel
Mm.
comfortable. And then when you do, if you need to ask that personal question, if you feel it's comfortable, make sure you phrase it respectfully, but then also put a bit later in. Because if you start with that personal question in your conversation, whether it's an interview, whether it's a business conversation, you may turn off that person immediately. And now for the rest of your conversation, they're going to hold that grudge, quote unquote, in
Mm.
their head for the rest of their points. So they're not going to give you the great responses. If you build that trust first and then slip in that question later, they may not have that trust and that comfort where it's like, wait, you know what? No, I trust Jeff. I'm going to give him a little bit more of a non-cookie cutter answer that I usually give the media outlets. So that's one of my biggest advice pieces for that part of it. Um, but again, I think it's treating most celebrities want to be treated like normal people. There's very few, and I won't name them, but there's very few celebrities that actually want to be treated like gods. Some do, but most want to be treated like normal people. And if you speak to them like the way you and I are speaking right now, Julia, I think people feel that comfort, that ease, that again, like you brought the word too, authenticity. And that's when they feel like they're comfortable because they know you're not going to misconstrue words. Even during a interview that I did with Jennifer Aniston, she said something during our interview, and then she stopped herself and said, "Please, Jeff, don't do that last sentence for me. That's not how I'm actually thinking right now." And of course, I could be the journalist because it was all on the record. I could have put it out there. I'm not that journalist, and I want that consistency of a Rolodex of quality contacts. And I choose a longevity of a career over a potential 15 seconds of fame TikTok moment. You get what I mean? So again, I think there's some people that would actually go the other way. But that's just not me. I think if you want to be smart and have a longevity, good reputation in your business, you
Mm.
want to go with integrity.
Trust and reputation is absolutely everything. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big part of any client that work that I do is also building that up. It's just making sure we have that solid foundation. So that really, really will resonate with a lot of people. Any other tips? Have you ever received an incredible piece of advice or anything that you can share that you think would be useful for your business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are hungry? I know how hard you work and what
Yeah.
incredible impact you have and how you're able to really be the best of the best at what you do.
Uh, Two things. One is, especially in our political times around the world, don't assume that the person you're speaking with, whether it's an interview, whether it's a business conversation, that you know what their stance is. You may see a woman and think, oh, Kamala Harris, let's do this. Or you might see like an older white guy and be like, make America great again, Trump. Don't assume. Try to leave it a little neutral if you can until they show something that shows unwavering, okay, yes, this is how they feel. Now I can lead with this. I think it can really hurt business. And I understand that we all have our own personal passions and beliefs. But when it comes to business, if you can leave it out, I recommend leave out your political side if you can. They may go on your social media and see how you spoke, and that's fine. But in the actual live conversation, as long as you can hopefully keep that respect, even if you may have different values, that's smart because you can't lead with emotion in that way, I say. So that's one of my biggest takeaways. Again, yeah, it's just more consistency.
Mm.
Consistency with your conversations, consistency with your business and your promises to people, you have to follow through. Because again, if you screw up with something, you know, they might be oh, cool with it, but if you screw up with something and they check in with somebody else and they start talking, you know, we're a word of mouth people media now. You burn one bridge. That's why even if people that I feel like have deserved a bridge to burn, I don't ever burn a bridge. I go home, I bite a pillow. I literally do that. Because it's not worth burning that bridge because unfortunately people talk and they can create a narrative around you that is so false, but it becomes the all-knowing truth to so many people and you can only defend yourself so far. So don't give ammunition to people to change your genuine narrative. That's one of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. And you really do show up in that way every single day. A lot of people would actually be really surprised at the fact that you actually do all your own bookings. So not
Mm.
only are you speaking and interviewing some of the best names, you're actually getting yourself in those rooms. Do you have any tips around that that actually can be leveraged not just by journalists and people in your world, but just business owners? How do you present yourself? A lot of people are vying for those spots, right? Is there anything you can
Absolutely.
do in terms of your personal brand, or is there any kind of the real nuggets that someone can learn from?
I think it's a waiting game, unfortunately, a lot of times. You also have to like kind of build your own credibility. When I can speak in the journalism side, do interviews when you can, make sure they get the traction, say the celebrity shared it, have like screenshots, have those kind of shows like they wanted to follow it. Because then when you want to talk to someone later, being like, hey, Jennifer Garner, which she did, she shared my interview. You know what I mean? So it shows not only was she open to do the interview, but she was so favorable about the conversation that she clearly felt comfortable sharing this with her many masses of followers. That shows that you had a quality conversation and she agreed with your journalism approach here. So those are things in the emails later can be like, well, Jennifer Garner shared this with her, 30.2 million, whatever it may be, followers. Sharing those numbers matters too. Um, yeah, and just again, consistency. Making sure that you know, my work is recent. It's one thing to say, like, I did this interview 3 years ago. They want to know that you've been doing things over and over and over again, and it's been getting the good viewership. If you can share and show numbers, they want to know that's value. But also, when you're pitching things, no matter what business you are, when you're pitching your value, I feel like you need to make sure that you're not, because I used to write emails. I don't know about you, Julie. I used to write emails when being like, please let me do this. Please, please, please. I can do it. Like them asking them to do a favor for me. Now I still say like this would mean so much to me, but also reminding them the value that I can bring to you. And I feel like sometimes people are so about like, please, I need this favor. That look of quote unquote again desperation is off-putting in business because it shows that maybe you haven't made it to a point that I should trust or put money or put investment within you. If you show like, yes, I'm appreciative and I'm grateful, I'm humble, but also look at the kind of value and the eyeballs that I can bring to you, then it's a little bit more of a conversation that they want to be a part of because not only are you asking for something, they see the value of what you can bring to them. And now they're like, wait, 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 no, no, we do want to talk to you, Jeff. So you have to make sure you're writing those narratives, whether it's an email, whether it's a conversation, that not only I want to give the value, but I can give you value as well.
I love that. I am definitely learning to stop over explaining. And I think that's just something that comes from being a woman and being
Mm.
always in a room surrounded by very senior men. Feel like you almost have to prove yourself. But once you get to a point where you know your value, you know the results you can bring, then it's a whole different conversation.
You say like you used to over speak to things to try to like, validate to them. Yeah, I think less is more and holding your ground and knowing your value. Like knowing you're working hard. I know, Julia, you're working hard. I'm working hard. If you know your value, you don't. I used to write those novel emails, like give them my life story to hope that and one, they're not going to read it for one, too much stuff. But less is more. Like get them with intriguing, captivating verbiage quick of why I have value and why I can give you value and leave it there. Like don't overly, there's no beg, there's just
A hundred
directness.
percent.
Yes.
I actually shared with my team an incredible article that I saw. I don't remember what it might have been, a Forbes article actually, and the title of it was "The Art of Brevity." And that's how I'm living right now. It's the art of brevity, not explaining like this is what it is. Like if you're interested, let's go. Like I'm ready to work.
Yeah.
We get results. So I think that's a really beautiful place to be coming from. Yeah, I absolutely love that. So what's next for you, Jeff? Do you have any exciting upcoming projects? Anything that you want to share?
Later today, I saw Wicked last night early, the film, and today I'm interviewing director John M. Chu, who I love. He's an amazing director in the world, and he directed Wicked. So I'm interviewing him later today, and then tonight I'm actually moderating a Q&A for the new Dune Prophecy TV series on HBO. And this is a good story that I think you'll appreciate from being a tenacious business people that we have to be. I already interviewed this woman. She's a showrunner. Her name's Allison of Dune Prophecy. Interviewed her on Zoom recently on virtual. We had a great conversation. At the end of the conversation, she said to me, Jeff, I followed your work. I've read it. I like it. It just came out of nowhere. I was like, thank you so much. And so I reached out to my HBO contacts that helped me set up that interview and said, hey, I know you guys will be having like Q&As ahead for like in person to promote this show. She said this great thing to me. Well, fortunately, she already likes my work. We've already spoken. So if you guys ever need a moderator, please let me know. And they were actually like, oh my God, Jeff, we're actually in need. So now I'm being
Amazing.
paid for this moderating thing. They'll be shared It'll be live downtown LA tonight, but it'll be live streamed about into like 12 different cities. They're like sold out theaters tonight. So like if you don't ask, you don't know. So you have to think outside the box and be different.
Love it, love it, love it. I just have one final question, which I love to end on. Do you have any podcast recommendation, book recommendation, anything that's been an absolute game changer for you in your own personal business or that you've seen just really take your trajectory to the next level?
You know what? I don't overly listen to podcasts as much as I should. But I do read some books, and these are autobiographies on celebrities because I love to like when they're written by them. I respect the ones that are written by somebody else, but when it's written by somebody themselves, like I read one with recently with Julie Andrews, who played Mary Poppins back in the day. She's 89 years old now. I just interviewed her last year. I read the book before I interviewed her, and just hearing the inner workings of the celebrity and more of the human. It's nice to hear that again, I know this, you know this. They put one foot in their pants at a time just like us. But I feel like sometimes these stars are seen as these gods. And it's nice to read these books where they show their vulnerable moments, show their miscarriages, show their divorces, show that wait, I'm a human too, and don't put me on that pedestal. And I think it's the most beautiful thing when you can read these books about people that are so beloved, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's a lawmaker, whether it's a world leader. It's nice to hear the vulnerable side because it reminds you again, we're all human. We're all in this together at the end of the day, and let's have a little bit of grace and humility.
I love that. Do you have a specific one?
So Julie Andrews, I'm forgetting the name of her book. It's incredible. Also, anything Agatha Christie. When you need an escape, anything mystery, like anything like Murder on the Orient Express. Like I just love like I don't know about you, Julia. I always joke that I was meant to live in the 20s and 30s. I'm just trying to make the best of right now. So like I love like that old writing mystery. If you're looking for escapism, that as well. Agatha Christie.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm a big book buff, so I'll be ordering both of those. Thank you so much, Jeff. You are absolutely phenomenal. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Julia.